Hey everybody, welcome to process number 10. So we're today going to be talking about the process of closure and looking ahead. And first thing that we're going to be doing, I want us to read Philippians chapter 3 verses 13 through 14, where Paul writes and says, "Brethren, I do not regard myself as having laid hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what lays behind, and reaching forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus." So you've made it this far. You've made it through the 9 previous processes. You've been faithful. And first of all, congratulations. All right, I know it would have been easy to stay where you were at. It would have been easy to just ignore the problem, to kind of stay in that spiritual stagnation that was talked about in earlier processes. So it took a level of courage for you to take the steps that you've taken thus far. And so again, we want to say congratulations. To dive into this this process and then begin looking ahead, we're going to look back to a process that was introduced, or a formula rather, that was introduced back in the very first process, and that is the hope formula. All right, we all need hope. Hope is powerful. Hope is what wakes us up in the morning. Hope is what encourages us to keep going on in spite of difficulties and challenges. When we feel like there is a possibility that things can get better, it's powerful what it can do to motivate us. So as we look at that hope formula again, here it is. Hope comes from change. Change comes from risk. And risk comes from faith. All right, so that's kind of the foundation of it. So at the bottom of that cycle is faith. What is faith? Faith is, well, Hebrews 11 defines faith as the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is a belief that there is a God, and a belief not only that there is a God, but that God has a plan for me, and that his plans for me are probably better than where I'm at right now. And that's true for every one of us, that God, his ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. He has plans for us. And so when we have that faith, that moves us to take risk. And you've taken risks in these last 9 processes. You've taken risk. It's a risk to forgive. All right? It's a risk to let go of that deep anger, right? Because there's something about when we've been hurt and we can hold on to that. We feel vindicated. And so there's a little bit of a risk to forgive. It's like we're letting somebody out of prison when we forgive them. Relationships. One of the processes dealt with severing relationships. There's risk in that. Those relationships, even though they may be toxic, there's a comfort level there. And so you're taking risk. You've taken risks to get to where you are. And then that risk, when we take those, it's only in those risks that change comes. If we just keep doing the same thing that we've always done, we're going to keep getting the same results. And so by taking risks, small risks, produce small changes. But over time, those small changes lead to big changes. And then that produces hope, because we're able to look and see, wow, the change is happening. And so that produces hope. And then, so let's continue the cycle. So hope comes from change. Change comes from risk comes from faith. And then faith gives you hope to change and risk again. All right. So man, I've taken some risks. I've seen a change as a result of that, and that's giving me hope that wow, things really can get better, and that produces more hope, and that produces more faith, rather, greater belief that if it's already done this much, how much more can it do? Which then gives us the ability to. I think if I could change this much, then I can change even more. And so I'm going to take some more risks. All right, I'm going to forgive more. There's more toxic relationships that I need to remove myself from. All of the processes, I'm not going to re-speak all the processes, but I'm going to take some risks. And so the first thing that we're going to do in your book is there's some self-evaluation questions that we need you to look at. And here's the deal. Well, I haven't seen much change. Well, how much risk have you taken? All right. So I want you to go back and answer those 5 questions. What risks have you taken? All right? And what was the foundation of that risk that you took? All right? And then so forth. So again, there's 5 questions that are there. So pause those, or pause the video rather, and go and answer those 5 questions. All right, so welcome back. You have taken a little bit of time to answer those 5 questions, to give some thought to those, to evaluate, to reflect. All right, because the problem is when we're working and we're striving, many times we don't recognize the results, the changes that have come. No, we're not perfect yet. Welcome to the club. None of us are, but I can look back and see that, man, I have made some changes. Some good things are happening here. I'm in a different place in my mind than I was. That's huge right there, mindset. So next we talk about hope. And in the book it says, remember that remember that in the language of recovery, hope comes from projecting what is going on in your life today into the future and seeing what looks back. All right, looking at projecting what is going on in your life today, relationships, habits, jobs, mindset, projecting what's going on right now into the future and seeing what looks back, better or worse, change or stagnation. Okay, so going into the future and then looking back, what would be better for me to stay the way I am or to change? All right, if I continue on the path I'm on. If I project 10 years, all the things that are going on in my life right now, if they stay the same, am I better if they stay the same, or will be better if they change? And that's where hope comes from. All right, when we begin to I project myself forward into the future, and then I look back and say, you know what? I need to make some changes. If I stay where I'm at, I can't stay where I'm at. So I need to make some changes, and that's where hope comes. So self-evaluation. There's some questions here that we want to ask you regarding to your hope for the future. And that comes from projecting. Again, seeing the possibility of what can be. All right. And again, we're building on all the other processes, on our faith, right? Forgiveness, all those other things. We're building on those. So now, again, we want to review. So pause right now and go and answer those 4 questions. Regarding hope. All right. Welcome back. And we are now going to look at the last section of this 10th process, rather dealing with closure. And we want to go back and review the give to grow concept that was talked about in process 1. It's important for your long-term health recovery and growth that your life makes sense. And your life starts to make sense when you see your pain and struggle result in others' healing and change. All right? So when we begin to recognize, right, when we begin to see that what I went through can bring about positive changes, can have a positive result. All right, even though the negative things I went to, that I've learned some things from that. All right, and again, when we're able to, so in the book it says it all made sense when the Holy Spirit began to move through me to bring understanding and healing to others who were trying to fill that same empty place. So here's one way that can make sense: the things you've been through, I've been through, we can help others. Because we've been through that, it brings meaning to what we've been through, that it wasn't just senseless, meaningless pain and hurt and disappointment, but there's other people now that are going through that I can be a source of help to them, all right? So in other words, everything in my life has purpose, has meaning, the good and the bad, all right? We have to find meaning in everything that we've been through. I wouldn't be the person I am today without the good and the bad, all right? I wouldn't have arrived at the place I'm at. I wouldn't, and I wouldn't be able to help others if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through. So bringing meaning and purpose to all the things that we have come through and that we've gone through. Process 5, it says, demonstrated how being wounded in your giftedness can result in spiritual stagnation, isolation, secrets, and addictions. All right, so the ongoing process, of overcoming and healing those wounds will allow you to use your gifts to bless and strengthen others. So that's why it's important that we heal, because if we just remain in the same place, we get in that place of spiritual stagnation. There's no movement going on. We can't help others. We can't. Our pain doesn't have meaning until we move forward. I saw a video last night of former Buffalo Bills quarterback Jim Kelly. His son Hunter had died. I don't remember how many years back, of, I think it was leukemia, and the video I saw was Jim Kelly being baptized, and the caption under that, he's talking to God, and he says, God, I'm sorry. When my son died, I got mad at you. I was angry with you. It didn't make sense to me. And then he says, I wish I would have turned to you a long time ago. I wish I would have built my relationship with you a long time ago. He said, because now that I'm in relationship with you, my son's death has purpose. It has meaning to it. All right. It helped me to grow. And so when we allow healing to come, when we allow ourselves to move forward, all the things that we've been through, they purpose comes to them. It gives purpose to the things that we've been through. So going now through your evaluation, the final one is give to grow. All right. So again, you need to I can't in the video right now. Go back to process 1 in the give to grow, and then in process 5, go back and remember about healing coming to our wounds and our pain, and how that enables us to be a source to others. And from that, I want you to go and answer self-evaluation number 3, which is give to grow, and then practical application, which is commitment for change. All right, because we've come this far. All right, great processes that you all have walked through. But we're not going to stop here. We're going to continue forward. It's important that we take this, we look back over where we've come from, the processes that we've walked through, and we realize the powerful commitments that we have made, the powerful processes we walk through that's going to give us the strength to continue on.